Hi guys, Scotty here. So, what's my favourite tool? Mr. Shiverholic, you rascal. Matt's asked three of us what our favourite tool was, following this pyramid thing. I don't know what to call it. Started off about asking people what their favourite tool was. I'd watched Bruce just a minute ago, and he had a brilliant answer, a very clever answer, which is his noggin, his brain, which is very good answer, clever answer, and also the cordless impact wrench. Well, we're in a similar line of business, I guess. Although I basically fly a desk now. I used to spent 20 odd years as a heavy equipment mechanic. We call them plant fitters over in the UK. So that's working on anything from a chainsaw, disc cutter, steel saw, up to 70-ton excavators, backhoes, dump trucks, motor graders, wheeled loading shovels, all that sort of thing. Construction machinery and quarry machinery, crushers. And in that line of business, especially as you get bigger, obviously the nuts and bolts and fixings get bigger. And I remember one of Mary's oddest memories of me was we all had we used to call it the mortgage, with the snap-on van that used to come round. We used to call it the mortgage. So we pay our weekly amount and just keep it going, and we'd be spending years and years paying money. Anyway, I bought I can't show you it because as I said before, some people might remember that a lot of my stuff got stolen 7 years ago, and what I've got here now is basically made up from stuff I bought more recently. So anyway, so what I bought on the van that particular day that made my job really easy, or much easier, was a 3/4 ratchet. And it was I don't think you can get the handle the same length anymore, but the handle was about 4 foot long, maybe 5 foot long. I used to think on it like that, but it meant you could get underneath a dozer and undo the bottom track rollers a lot easier. And like Matt said, everything gets a bit of pipe on it, and they were virtually indestructible. I'd had lots of cheaper ratchets and broke them all, but the snap-on one, apart from as long as you kept it oiled, used to work really well. So that was probably my favourite. But anyway, I was going to say Mary's got a memory of me when I bought it. We hadn't been going out very long, so I was probably 21, and we worked in vans. We had a 3.5, 4 ton van, and like Bruce was saying, you work out in the field. You could be miles and miles from any electricity or air or whatever. Our vans used to have to be locked back up in the workshop every night back then, and I was so fond so fond of this ratchet that I used to take it out the van and take it home with me. Not because I didn't want it stolen, because the workshop we had had alarms and was locked really well. It was just that I didn't want to leave it behind. Bit silly, really. But so that was one thing. The other thing was a bit more sentimental. It was I love things that I've made to make my job easier. In my previous toolkit, the one that got stolen, I had we used to do Komatsu dozers, a D65 dozer, and there's one bolt that holds the water pump on. It was Dash 8, Mark 8 dozers. There was one bolt that used to hold the water pump on, and it was a bugger to get a spanner on, and it was getting a spanner and putting a little bend in it so it was a certain shape in order to get this bolt out. And I loved that spanner. I like anything that I make to make my job. I like anything that used to make my job easy. There's all sorts of daft things. I mean, there's silly things like this. That is something we made up to. It goes on the pipes of a gas cutting lance to cut circles with, you know, or for cutting crescents with, out of thick steel, you know. So anything that makes work easy. But there was one thing that was particular, and it stuck in my mind, and when Matt originally put the question, I was sort of, crikey, this is going to take some thinking. But then suddenly, I was laying underneath the car yesterday, and I thought, no, it's not that hard. It's the big 3/4 ratchet that suddenly transformed a really back-breaking job into a not quite so back-breaking job. And also, there was something I made when I was at middle school. I think I was 10 years old, and I got the job. We got this task given us basically to make something on the lathe, and we were given a piece of hexagonal bar, hexagonal or octagonal bar, and a piece of round bar, and I chose to make a screwdriver. And it was Father's Day coming up, I think, and I made it. My dad was a mechanic, and I in a car garage. And I chose to make this screwdriver basically, and I haven't got it anymore because it was in my toolkit that got stolen. But basically, it came out looking a little bit like that punch, about the same sort of size. So basically, you had to drill a hole up through the centre of it, braze in the round bar, and then shape the end into a screwdriver, and then heat it up and anneal it, and heat it up and quench it, etc., etc., to make it harder. And I made this screwdriver for my dad, and we had letter punches, and I put his name down the side and all that. So I was about 10 when I left school. So I was 16 when I left school. Couldn't wait to leave school. Started at the garage where my dad worked. And the day when I started, he'd already sorted me out a little toolkit. We used to have these cantilever toolboxes, like a 5-drawer affair, and he put some of his old tools in there, some sockets and whatever. Just a sort of ratty old toolkit for me to get started with. And he gave me back this tool I'd made for him, and he'd used it so much that it was there wasn't much of the original round bar left. It was much shorter than when I'd given it to him, and to think that I'd made something when I was little, when I was 10, 11 years old. Then he actually used it, because it was short, because he kept blunting it off and grinding it back flat again or whatever, and he basically used it as a punch, as a pin punch. It turned out it happened to be the right size of a pin punch for certain Ford door hinge pins, that sort of thing. So Anyway, so those are my things. I'm not really sure who's already been picked or who's not been picked to be next. So my choice is going to be I'm going to have one from the UK. I don't know if I'm allowed to do two, but I'm going to do one from the UK and one from the US. And so one is Dan Electro 68, so it's Neil, and one will be Greg Porter. Okay, so the baton has been passed on, guys. Cheers, bye.